He stood at my doorstep with the same eyes I once fell in love with. But they were tired now. Red. Sunken. Desperate. "Can we talk?" he asked. It had been 3 years since James walked out of my life. 3 years since he packed his gym bag, said he needed space, and moved in with a woman half his age. Now he was here. Same old sweater. Same cheap cologne. Same empty charm. I didn't say a word. I didn't hug him. I didn't cry. Because when someone you loved destroys you, there's no reunion, only a reckoning. And mine started long before he knocked. James and I were married for 41 years. 41 years of shared dinners, burnt toast, leaky faucets, and quiet Sunday mornings. We weren't a passionate couple anymore, but we were stable, comfortable. He'd make coffee at 6:45 sharp. I'd warm his slippers by the heater. We watched Jeopardy every night without fail, and he always answered the questions before me, even the ones he guessed. We raised 2 children, buried both sets of parents, celebrated anniversaries at the same Italian place downtown. He held my hand during my first mammogram. I held his when his brother died. He used to call me Bunny, said my ears turned pink when I blushed. We weren't exciting, but we were real, and I thought that was enough. Until one day it wasn't. Started with small things. He bought new shirts, tight ones. He joined a gym, said he wanted to stay active. He started drinking smoothies and scrolling his phone at dinner. I asked him what was wrong. He said I was imagining things. Midlife crisis, I joked. He didn't laugh. Then he began coming home late. Said he was taking evening yoga. James, in yoga. I found a receipt for a massage parlor in his jeans. He said it was for his back. But the tip he left was bigger than the massage. I didn't accuse him. Not yet. Because when you've been with someone for 40 years, you cling to routine like it's truth, even when it's not. Her name was Sierra. She was 34. Twice divorced. 0 kids. Yoga teacher. Energy healer. And as her Instagram said, wild at heart. I saw her photo once on his phone. She had one of those pouty mouths and overdrawn eyebrows. The kind of woman who wore crop tops to funerals. He met her at the gym. Said she understood him. Said she made him feel young again. I made him feel warm. But apparently, home wasn't exciting anymore. She listens, he said one night. As if I'd been silent for decades. As if I hadn't asked how his day was for 41 years straight. I remember the night he left. He didn't yell. Didn't cry. He folded his socks, zipped up his gym bag and said, "I think I need something different." I stood there in my robe, still smelling like pot roast, still hoping this was just a nightmare. But he walked out, and didn't look back. Grief at 68 is different than at 28. You don't scream. You don't break plates. You just sit. In silence. The walls echo a little louder. The bed feels colder. The calendar days don't matter. I'd make coffee for 2, then pour 1 cup down the drain. Muscle memory is cruel like that. The kids were shocked. Angry even. My daughter said she always knew something was off about Dad. My son just shook his head and told me to get a lawyer. But I wasn't angry yet. I was numb. Like someone pressed mute on my life. He didn't call. Didn't check on me. He was off traveling with Sierra. Mexico, Bali, God knows where. And I was left with old photos and alimony paperwork. It's humiliating. Being traded in like an old car. Like your wrinkles make you invisible. Like loyalty has an expiration date. But one morning, as I brushed my thinning hair, I saw my reflection. And didn't see a victim. I saw a woman who had survived childbirth, funerals, depression, cancer scares. And now this. So I made a promise. He would not be the final chapter. I started walking. Every morning. 1 block, then 2. Eventually 5 miles a day. I planted tomatoes. Took a poetry class. Learned how to use YouTube. I even joined a support group for divorced over 60. We called ourselves the Silver Linings. They laughed at my dry humor, cried with me when I read my first poem. I bought new dresses, not to impress anyone but because I could. I dyed my hair silver instead of pretending to be blonde. And for the first time in decades, I was my own person. No one's wife. No one's shadow. Just me. I learned to fall asleep alone. And love it. I read romance novels and didn't feel lonely. I smiled at strangers, not because I needed anything, but because it felt good. And I realized, I was never the one who lost. He was. 3 years later the doorbell rang. There he was, James, holding a plastic bag and wearing a look I barely recognized. James. He was thinner. His hair grayer. The sparkle was gone. She left me, he said. Course she did. She said I was boring, predictable, old. I almost laughed. The irony was rich. He asked if he could come inside. Said he missed my cooking. Said he missed our talks. Said he missed me. I made him tea. Listened politely. He talked about Sierra's moods, her spending, her affairs. How she called him a phase. He looked up at me, like a boy who lost his toy. And for a second I almost felt sorry. Almost. I miss home, he said. I smiled softly. This isn't your home anymore. He blinked. Once. Then looked down. I just thought. I shook my head. You thought I'd be here, waiting. But I've gone too far, James. You walked out of my life once. I walked into mine. He nodded. Tears welled in his eyes. I handed him the tea in a to-go cup. And just like that, he left again. But this time, I closed the door without looking back. I don't hate him. I don't wish him harm. But I don't need him anymore. I sleep peacefully. I laugh more now than I ever did married. And when I look in the mirror, I don't see what's missing. I see what I found. Me. And that, my friends, is the happiest ending I could have asked for. Have you ever been betrayed late in life? Have you ever had to rebuild after losing everything you thought was forever? Share your story in the comments.